Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. My name is Lucero,
My name is Ixchel.
and you guys are listening and watching the Bitch Up podcast. And may I say, first of all, I want to apologize if you guys hear like any weird noise in my background because there's a helicopter that's currently circulating my neighborhood. I don't know why. We think it's for me, but
We
we,
think it's the feds
yeah.
coming for Lucy finally. It
Yeah.
was
So if
bound to
you see a
happen.
solo episode with Shelly, you know why.
Yeah. And it'll just be like 5 minutes because then I have to go bail her out, so.
Literally, even though she never picks up her phone, so I could probably call her from jail and she'd
Well
probably miss it.
well, first of all,
So,
I would see it in live form, this happening to you, so I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be like Liam Neeson in Taken, where he's like, "Okay, they're gonna take you in the next 30 seconds, so you need to, like, do this, and everything you see, give out their markings, what they're dressed in, what are" I need to hear everything. And luckily,
and
we
she's
have a
like, "I'm gonna call your
recording.
mom so they can go get you," and then my mom's not gonna answer because 'cause they're all sleeping, no one's gonna answer their phone,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Okay, I'll call your sister," and
I
she's like,
literally
"Bitch, you woke up
yeah.
Theo, what the hell?"
No, it'll probably be quicker for me to get there than for me to call them.
You're like, "Dad, wake up. They've taken Lucy."
No, my dad's awake right now, so we're
Oh,
ready to
okay.
go if we need to.
Well, that's good to know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so there's that. So hopefully this episode makes it on on, on Spotify and YouTube.
Everyone's like, "What the fuck is Lucy involved in?"
If you guys are here, go like and subscribe and leave a comment and let us know free Lucy. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, literally, that's gonna be the episode. Free
Free
Lucy.
Lucy. Well,
We're gonna need
aside
bail
from that
money, so please, like, subscribe.
and
Oh,
donate, we'll start a GoFundMe.
yeah, literally. Yeah, welcome back, bitches. How are we doing this week?
You know, well, by we, I mean me. I'm barely functioning.
Yeah, I feel like that today's the first day in the past 2 weeks that I feel, like, normal and not, like just, like, finally feel back into my routine and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
not like I've been, like, going crazy, but, like, we've been doing a lot these past 2 weeks, so that's why I'm kind of like, "Okay, finally it feels normal again."
You know,
So
it's
I'm
funny because
happy.
this morning I woke up very low energy and with like a migraine, and I was telling Excel that I might as well have been hungover and like drank a lot because that's how I felt. And then we kind of came to the realization that maybe I'm going through withdrawals of Coca-Cola because your
Yeah.
girl went on a binger during Coachella weekend and a little bit
She's
after. And so she went through her last Coca-Cola can like 3 days ago. So it might be
yeah.
withdrawal. So
Yeah,
now
I
you
think
know
that's what
why.
it is. I diagnosed her, and I was like, "You know what? I think that's what might have" I mean, that coupled with probably exhaustion, and you've been going through it, and sleeping patterns are a little off, but yeah, that might have been the trigger.
Checks out, yeah.
Speaking
Now
from
she's
a
on
girl who
crack.
gets
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, literally. Speaking from a girl who gets, regular migraines no, I'm just kidding, but I did used to suffer from migraines a lot in school, and not so much in recent years, but every now and then, I'll get a really bad one, and I'm just like, "Oh, I can't believe I used to deal with this on the regular basis, like, this is unhuman." It really is. They suck,
Yeah,
but it's gonna be okay, friend, just hydrate yourself and try to get more rest, and,
thanks.
maybe try Coke Zero. No, just kidding, don't do that. Just
Disgusting. You're like,
yeah, I know,
"Maybe
that's
Diet
why.
Coke?" You're
Perhaps
like,
the
"Try
lady
Pepsi."
what is it? Pepsi New Cola. What is it? Pepsi's the new cola. Just kidding.
No, everybody's hitting on Pepsi right now because of the Michael Jackson movie. They're like, "When I get my hands on the Pepsi commercial."
Oh, actually, I don't know what's going on with that. What's going on with that?
So Michael Jackson was gonna do a Pepsi commercial, and
Mhm.
that's when his hair caught on fire because of, I think, like, a firework or something, a sparkler that went off, and it since he had, like, a lot of product in his hair, it
Oh.
set him on fire, and that started a lot of his, like, pain some of his pain, and he basically lost a lot of hair and was like it was like a third-degree burn. It was
Oh,
really bad.
wow.
In the
I didn't
'80s,
know
yeah.
that. I did not
Mhm.
know that.
Yeah, that's why people have beef with Pepsi again.
Well, that's I mean, I don't like Pepsi, so let 'em have it. Off with their
But yeah,
heads. How
and now
dare they
they're on
do that?
crack?
Yeah, I have you seen the Michael Jackson movie?
I have not. I've seen a lot of clips about it and a lot of people's think pieces on it and a lot of,
Mhm.
like, reviews. Michael Jackson is all over my TikTok feed right now,
Oh,
and I'm like,
is he?
"Great. I don't wanna go through this again." Just kidding. It's 2009 all over again. Because 'Cause I'm like, I've been through a Michael Jackson rabbit hole, and I'm like,
Rabbit
I don't wanna
hole.
go back. It takes me forever, and I mean, I've learned new things, so it's never ending.
I did see the commercials for the movie. My interest was piqued of, like, watching it, and only because I obviously know Michael Jackson. I've known his music, but I don't think I grew up with his music in the same way that, like, other people did or other generations
Mhm.
did. And honestly, my I feel like my brother kinda put me on him in a more, like, deeper level in terms of his music because he was really into him when we were, like, younger. And then,
Yeah.
unfortunately, he had his untimely death, and it sucked because it was, like, right at the peak of when my brother was, like, obsessed with him or really into him.
Mhm.
So I don't know too much about him, like, in terms of, like, the history. Like, I know about the Jackson 5, but I just know about him on a very superficial level, unfortunately. So I was kinda like, "Oh, I'd like to watch that and see how it is." And then, I did see Tiara's, review on Instagram. I don't know if you saw
Yes,
that.
yes,
Like,
yes,
I
I
know,
saw
like,
that.
that's the only review that I would actually trust because I know that she, like, has always been 10 toes down for Michael Jackson. So I was like, I feel like this would be an honest review. But again, I have nothing to go based off of it because I don't, like, I've never
You
known him to
know
that
what
extent.
threw me off is that he died in 2009,
Mhm.
but I was in high school in 2009, and I remember
Mhm.
where I was when I heard that news, so I'm, like, so thrown off because I'm like, I was at work when that happened. I was working at my dad and my in my dad's company when I found out that Michael Jackson passed away.
But it was 2009.
But that's why
Did
I'm tripping because 'cause I'm like, I wasn't working in 2009.
Oh, that's
And I remember
interesting.
I was talking about, "Oh, I wish I would've gotten tickets to." I was making money, but I wasn't making enough money to buy a ticket, and I was talking
Mhm.
to my coworker about it, and then I remember that I saw the news that he had passed away, and started crying because I was like, "Ugh," but I was like, I was at work. I wasn't in high
Were
school at the
you
time.
not Oh, I was about to say, were you working?
I was working, and I started working as soon as I graduated from high school, so it was, like, 2012, so I am tripping so hard right now. I'm like, "Wait, what?
Was this another
2009?"
universe? Yeah, it was 2009. See, I
I
know that much. I know that
Yeah,
much.
I am tripping so hard. I'm like, "Did I find out that Michael Jackson died, like, too late? Like, like, 3 years later?" Like, that's how disconnected I was?
I
Imagine.
don't think so, I don't think so, but maybe you had a moment in 2012 where you were like it was like a Michael Jackson moment, you were talking with your coworker and you kinda were just reminiscing on, like, that, and that's why it feels like that's when you found out, but who knows?
No, I know for a fact I found out Michael Jackson died because I was looking something up. And then I saw the news and I was like, "What?" Because
But
there's
it
no one in school was talking about it, like, this was not something that happened at school. Because you know when shit happens at school, it goes down, like, everybody's talking about it. So I
No,
feel
but
like
it
I would have
was.
remembered that if people were talking about it at school,
So
but I'm like, I was at
do you
work.
think the government's lying to us? He didn't die in 2009? Because I remember he passed away in 2009.
I just this is one of those moments, it's like, you know where you were when certain things happen, like, certain, like, pivotal
Wait,
points,
do
and
you?
this
No,
was a
just
pivotal
kidding.
moment for me. So I'm like, I know where I was when I found out Michael Jackson died unless I found out 3 years later.
I mean, it is plausible. I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out another explanation of why.
Sorry, guys. I had some technical difficulties. I'm telling you, they're coming for me. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I
maybe
mean, the
maybe this
world
is
will
one of those
never know
things.
now.
What is it called when, like, certain
Twilight
things
Zone?
shift? No, like, those, like, the whole, like, the Bernstein Bears versus the Bernstein Bears, like, that whole,
Oh,
like
that like the Mandela effect or
yeah,
something like that?
that's a Mandela effect for me now because 'cause I'm like, Wait, Michael Jackson passed away in
Maybe.
2009?"
That would make sense,
I
yeah.
was like, "I know I was at work." I know. I some or unless my brain is dumb, like, all those concussions I've had fucked me up somehow.
See, that's what I'm that's what I'm thinking, like, maybe somehow, somewhere, you, like those, like, memories kind of, like, got a little there's a little bit of a crossover there, but anyway.
Yeah.
So
Well, if
I
you
guess
guys
you're
haven't
gonna
seen the
wait
Michael
until it
Jackson
comes out.
movie, I guess go watch it.
Yeah, I think I'm been, like, trying to find a reason to go to the theater, so maybe that is what brings me back to the theater.
There's so many good movies coming out,
Mhm.
like The
Well,
Devil Wears Prada 2.
didn't that already come out this week?
Yeah.
Or am I yeah,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's out. It's out. The Devil Wears Prada 2, Mario Brother or Mario what is it called? Super Mario is out. Wow.
She is
Oops. My bad. Michael Jackson's movie's out. I I wanna go see it, but I have, like there's a part of me that's like, just because of the discourse that I've seen about it, I'm like, I don't think it's anything that we haven't already seen. And to me, just from what I've seen, it does give a little bit more of like Jackson 5-ish, which I get it
mhm,
because it was a part of his history. But at the same time, I'm like, just based off of what I've seen in the scenes I've seen and where people say it kind of dies off or
uh-huh.
ends, that I'm like, oh, like this seems very again, but it's a biopic by the family, some of the family. So I
I
guess
was
it makes
gonna
sense
say,
for
I'm
it to
like,
be like
isn't the estate the one that's kind of, like,
yeah.
behind
So I'm
this?
like, there's
So,
some
I guess
things
that
that
makes
are
sense.
never going to be exposed, but I'm like, I wish they kinda went more into his mind of how, like, he made music, produced it, and, like, his ins and outs and gave it more Michael, but again, this is someone who hasn't seen the movie, so maybe that's what they do, but at least that's not what I've heard. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, do I really wanna go see the movie? Maybe I'll go see it to, like, support, but at the same time, I'm like, this was made by a family member that he had beef with, so I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, "Do I trust it?" Well,
Yeah.
there you have it. We'll see if you ever watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, if there are all these other movies that you're interested in seeing, it makes sense, like, you wouldn't run to go see that movie.
Yeah, my May is gonna be busy. I'm gonna go see it every weekend, see a different
Yeah.
movie.
Ooh, how fun. What was I gonna say? Well, do you have any bitch up moments or recommendations this week?
Um, do you? I have to
I
think of mine.
do. Okay. Well, I do have a recommendation this week. Pretty much just like for all of yous that haven't or have been keeping up with the governor elections and the race and all the debates and pretty much all the media that has been put out and all the campaigning that they've been doing really. If you guys haven't locked in or been paying attention, lock the fuck in because primaries are coming up June 2nd, and we just need to get it together, people, and make sure we elect for like our best interests. And by our, I mean community wise, not just yourself. So don't be a freaking asshole and a selfish asshole. Think about everybody. You know, we've always talked about how we want to think about our communities and just like what this new governor can potentially do for our communities and ourselves obviously. So yeah, just keep that in mind and, just do the work and do your research if you haven't already. That's my recommendation.
Honestly, this governor race is so triggering for me because I've been keeping
As
up with
everything
it.
else government related.
Yeah, I've tried so
Yeah.
hard to, like, stay away I'm like, I've been keeping up with it, and I've seen some of the things that have been going on with this race, and some of
Mhm.
the really, like, sus things have been going on, especially when it comes to, like, the debates, and
Yeah.
honestly, it's interesting to see where people are with these, candidates
Candidate?
thank you. My brain today, I'm telling you, it's not functioning. The
She's
2
still
little neuronas que tengo, they're not sparking.
she's still under construction, you guys. Give her
Yeah,
1 week off of Coke and she'll be fine. Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. But yeah, it's just interesting seeing the comments and, like, people's thoughts on these candidates and why they're
Mhm.
voting for them, and I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting." But yeah, I mean, do your research, guys. Don't
Yeah.
fall into any of the
The trap.
propagandas that are going
Yeah.
on. I would like to say that there's some candidates that have really good policies, and there's some candidates that are just running and blaming other parties for shit, but don't actually have policies.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's all I will
Yeah.
say.
As always, just, remember to be critical. Don't take things at face value at best. Follow the money when in doubt. And yeah, just like I said, just kind of tap in. That's
And
why
also
I do
follow
encourage people.
actions too. Don't just follow the actions. See what they've done, their record, their history,
Yeah, exactly.
and you know, what have they done, their experience.
Mhm.
And yeah, anyways, I will say, I guess, then I don't necessarily have a bitch up moment. I would say that my recommendation is just to go out and go to the theaters, go have fun, enjoy yourself. Summer's coming, and I think everybody needs to be outside and get some sunlight, get some fresh air,
Touch
and
grass.
yeah, touch grass. Go be whimsy people.
These
Go,
are
yeah.
yeah.
That's
These are
all.
some
That's my
trying
recommendation.
times. I like
Mhm.
that because these are some trying times, and I think the best thing, you can do to try to resist some of the oppressive shit that's been going on is finding those happy moments and still being able to enjoy yourself so you don't crash out and burn out and give up on life.
Wow. That was dark.
What? That
What?
was
Like, it's
that
hard?
was very real. Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's fucking dark out here, so find the whimsy, like Lucy said. Find your happiness and, do those things. It's very important for
Yes.
your mental health, for self-preservation, especially right now, because that's the best way you can resist right now, and at least the easiest way, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking oh, the helicopter's back, you guys. They're back for me. I feel like every 15 minutes, they're, like, back. Anyways,
Lucy's like, "Anytime I think I could relax."
I'm like, "Okay, guys, this is my chance to escape. I have a 15-minute, like, window, so next time they're
Lucy's like
gone, I'm gone."
you're like, can you come back later? I'm trying to escape."
Yeah. Speaking of escape,
Mhm.
so today's topic, and speaking of being whimsy and, escaping reality or whatnot,
Mhm.
we decided to talk about escape escape. No, I was kidding. That's
No,
so cute.
literally escape.
Escape.
That's all I
Escaping in girlhood. I think I don't know what that. I was watching something on TikTok and someone brought up. I wish I remembered her name, but someone brought up how in our childhood, especially girlhood, basically, that
yeah.
we have grown up with many movies that have this whole idealism of escapism and why that is and how interesting that is, right? And how that has affected us in adulthood per se, and why
Mhm.
we, I guess you can say, millennials in general are so obsessed with like nostalgia, if anything. I think that
Mhm.
has been a common pattern that we've seen trending a lot, especially when it comes to film, branding, and just, what people do in general, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, so let's discuss.
How fun.
I think we could probably start with defining what escapism is for the people that don't quite understand what we're saying.
Yeah.
So escapism, according to Merriam-Webster, use your sources. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So
Our
basically,
bibliography. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
cite your sources, guys. According to Merriam-Webster, escapism is habitual diversion of the mind to purely imaginative activity or entertainment as an escape from reality or routine, right? So, an
Mhm.
example would be like this movie is pure escapism, or reading romantic novels is her form of escapism. Y'all get the gist, right? And then we have
Mhm.
girlhood. I think girlhood is a little
That's
harder to define, because I think it's girlhood in general is very complicated, I feel, because it could
layered.
vary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes and it varies depending on the society and even the culture, right? Like,
I
girlhood
think
can
it's
have
subjective
yeah,
too.
yeah, it
Yeah.
can mean different things for anyone who identifies as a girl, and, what could that be? Some people identify girlhood as a set of milestones, right? Like,
Mhm.
once I got my period or whatnot, or some people just it's like an idea of some sorts, or maybe some people view girlhood as a negative thing versus like a positive. So again, very, very layered and nuanced. But
Mhm.
according to the Merriam-Webster definition, girlhood is a state or period of being a girl, which again is pretty
A state of
straightforward.
mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dare I say a limited definition, because again, it's a very nuanced state of mind, but
Mhm.
that's how it's defined by Merriam-Webster. But I don't know, how would you say it like, what is girlhood to you? Or how would you define girlhood?
I do agree that it's a state of mind for sure. And I do think that it, like I said earlier, it is subjective because it's really, I think it's influenced by the type of use or like that like moment of that period of I don't know, like a period of time or like age time frame, if you will,
Mhm.
when you're just like younger and you're kind of like in this liminal state where you're like not necessarily a child, but you're also not, you're kind of like in this
I'm
teenage
not a
area.
girl,
Yeah, and not yet a
not yet a
woman. You're in this
woman.
liminal space where you're trying to figure out who you are in a very, like, early senses, right? Because I feel like we've talked about how, like, I think as you grow up, you kinda are still trying to
Mhm.
find yourself and find your way in adulthood, but
Yeah.
girlhood is just, like, that intermediate space, and like I said, I think it's a state of mind because I think at our big ages, we definitely still can experience girlhood, and, I mean, perhaps I mean, I thought this was an interesting topic because we're talking about this state of mind of girlhood or things that relate to girlhoodness, if for lack of, is that even a term? And using that as a form of escapism, right? To
Mhm.
kind of like divert our attentions from the perils of like adulthood and everything else that's been going on in life or goes on in life, the stresses. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like a coping mechanism, if you will, because and that's where I think I see a lot of the nostalgia coming into play here because it's a kind of like a callback to that time period or that time and place you were at when, like, things were just, like, fine and dandy,
Yeah.
and we just didn't know how good we had it back then. Those were the good days.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do think that definitely girlhood is a shared identity that most women and girls have, and
Mhm,
it is a sense of community that we as girls have created, and I
mhm,
agree, it's definitely an I think now more so it has become a movement of escapism where, like you said,
mhm.
you look back at a time where life was easier, and it's also, like, that whole idea of, like, you're healing your inner child, right? I think that that's something that we've seen trending a lot, especially with
Yeah,
brands and how they play on the whole nostalgia part of it, right?
yeah, how
I
they
think you see that
commercialize it,
often.
mhm,
Exactly. Yeah, now it's definitely been commercialized, and it's something that corporations build off of. You see it in films nowadays, and also, again, branding and different brands that have worked off of, like, that whole movement of healing your inner child, and I think what I think of, especially when it comes to, like, branding, I think of, like, the Renaissance tour, like, the Beyoncé Renaissance tour. I think that involved a lot of girlhood too, just
mhm,
because most of it, at least from what I remember when we were growing up, I think we grew up in the '90s and, like, the early 2000s, but
right,
around that time, we had that whole movement of girl power, you know what I mean? So,
mhm,
I think a lot of the films that we grew up seeing and even now kinda combines that whole movement of girl power with healing and yeah, I guess it's that in that whole nostalgia portion of it, right?
mhm.
I think another movie that kinda does that and, the whole aspect of, like, the shared nostalgia and, like, healing your inner child is the Barbie movie. I think that that was, like, one of the more
I
pivotal
see that.
movies where
Yeah,
all the girlies were like, "Oh my god," I grew up playing Barbies with, like, my sisters and all that stuff, and it brings in all of these actresses that we some of us grew up watching and some of the actresses that are big now, right? And kind of bringing in this messaging of not only you experiencing girlhood, but also you now experiencing womanhood, right?
yeah,
And
together in a sense, yeah.
exactly. So I think that's also something, especially for us, escapism and girlhood has always been like this. As far as what I remember from movies, it's kind of this form of being able to shift from girlhood to womanhood, right?
I was
And
gonna say, yeah, I
yeah.
love that, yeah, because I think that's one of the cool things about it that us sort of, like, partaking or participating in this sort of phenomenon, right?
Hmm.
There's, like, a psychological duality at play here, where it's just, like, we're not fully rejecting womanhood and, adulthood and everything that comes with it, right? We're kind of like, we can be both, like, we can do one and the same, like, we don't have to be either one or the other, if you will. So I think that's what I like about it, where it's, like, when adulthood and, like, womanhood gets a little too hard, it's really nice to kinda call back and, like, sit in the nostalgia and kinda escape for a second, and
Mhm.
and again, and that's how it's, like, a vehicle for us to kind of de-stress or being a coping mechanism, if you will, for us. But yeah, no, I like that you said that because I agree there's sort of, like, this duality in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, because when I was thinking about this, for sure, I was trying to think of all the movies that I remember watching that kind of portray this idea of escapism, and I'm like, it's basically our entire childhood. Like, all the Disney movies, especially all the Princess Disney movies,
Yeah.
escapism, like, literally, that's, like, the biggest theme because I was like, "Okay, they all have a song where they express wanting something, right? So you have
Mhm.
Cinderella, you have a wish is what is it? A dream is a wish, right? Something like
Yeah,
that,
the
and
longing,
she's
yeah.
the longing of, leaving this trauma house and whatnot and going off,
Yeah,
but you have Beauty and the Beast where Belle sings her song about wanting adventure and her even reading books to escape, like, her little town is also a form of escapism for her, right? Like, that's her way
yeah,
of escaping her life and whatnot. You have Rapunzel who, like, idealizes this world that she's technically not allowed to be in because she's stuck in a tower, so she has to kinda
yeah.
dive into her artsy and her whimsy really to kind of have a form of
Fantasy is
escape.
that yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so they all kind of have, like, this little escapism thing. I think The Little Mermaid's a little special because it's, like,
Yeah.
her she's the
That's what I
opposite. She's like
that's what was
reverse
coming to mind.
escapism because she's like, I
Yeah,
she's already the fantasy, right? She's the Little Mermaid, like, the Little Mermaid is in a fantasy world technically
yeah.
because it's like a mermaid, but she wants to escape into the human world because it's imperfect, it's new, it's something she doesn't really know and fantasizes
Mhm.
about. So
Right.
I thought that was also like, oh, yeah, it is kind of like a reverse escapism because she doesn't wanna be in the sea, she wants to be up here where the
The
people
people
are.
are. "Girl, stay back down there.
Yeah, there's nothing you don't
Get
wanna
your
be up
fins
here.
back. It's ghetto out here."
It's not clocking to you.
Yeah. That is so interesting, and you're right. I think when I was doing this exercise and looking at or just kind of looking back at, like, movies, and honestly looking at the movies that, like, shaped me or, like, the formative movies and such,
Yeah.
I, like, failed to look at any of the princess movies. Completely went over my head. So that no, but it's so true, and, like, I definitely see, like, the parallels there and also just, like, the reference to and how it kinda set a template for us,
Yeah.
at least psychologically, right?
Yeah, and then, I mean, a lot of these films too also, even though they're, like, escaping their world, it's still very much a portal in a sense from, like, childhood to womanhood because a lot of these princesses end up with their beloved, right? So it's like, it
They
go
might
from,
have
like, this
started
innocence of childhood to
yeah,
womanhood through marriage and love,
yeah,
right, per se, I guess
right.
you can say, but
Yeah, like, that seems like that's the vehicle for them to get there.
yeah.
Yeah.
What
Interesting.
other movies would you say were formative for you and kind of influenced the girlhood ideal for you?
Okay, so, like, I was thinking, like, first, like, we talked about this recently, we were talking about A Little Princess and Secret
Yes.
Garden. And
Yes.
how those films were like well, for Secret Garden, like, the garden was her source of escape, and like you said, like, the
Mhm.
being with nature and stuff, and then with Little Princess, like, that she escaped all, like, the horrors that she was going through and stuff and her own reality with, like, her own stories and not her own fantasy and such, so,
Yeah.
I think that when I was thinking about this, like, those were some of, like, the first movies that at least I can, like that I was able to think back of, like, "Oh, like, yeah, that's, like, where you see, like, I'm sorry, escapism being, like, a
Were you
sort of,
gonna say
like
escape?
yeah. Where, like, escapism was, like, a driving force and sort of, like, this girlhood within cinema, and we've seen it in literature as well, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was thinking about it from movies and such, like, those were the first 2 that kind of stood out to me as, like, "Oh my god, like, this was God at his finest."
Yeah.
And then
I love The Little Princess, like, the
I
amount of
know.
times that I've seen that movie and will still cry, and I would
Yes.
avoid watching that movie sometimes because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, it's
I
so
was
sad."
jarred the first time I saw it, like, as a kid. Like, that was very jarring, and I think I watched it again, like, maybe when I was a little older. still fucked me up, and then I don't think I've seen it recently in my adulthood, like,
I'm
in my
just thinking about
30s.
it, I'm, like, tearing up already. I'm, like, watching
No,
scenes in my
yeah,
head. I'm like
and I'm just like, "We need to watch it, we need to do a screening of it and, like, just cry
Yes.
together." Like, next time you feel like crying, you're like, "I feel like crying, I need to see something that's gonna make me cry, make me
No, for
feel
sure.
something."
The Little Princess was definitely a pivotal film in my childhood as well, like,
Mhm,
the amount of times I've seen that movie and how inspired I was by it, I think there's
mhm,
the idea of speaking of, like, princess movies and Disney princesses, I think the idea of, like, the mantra of all girls are princesses definitely shifted the definition of what a princess is because ideally growing up, you think princesses are, like, wealthy and they're beautiful, right? Like, that is usually the definition that's presented, usually
right,
in some Disney movies, and then
mhm,
here it's kinda shifted, it's like you're a princess because of it's based on, like, who you are as a person, it's how kind you are and, like, the self-discipline that you have too, and, like,
right,
basically, like, the I think it's like the self what is it? Autonomy that you have for
mhm,
yourself also, like, that's super important, and that's basically what the movie was, like, trying to convey, and that's why I appreciate it so much. Because even,
mhm.
like, the villain in the story, in some way, you feel for her because at some
She's
point,
also,
she
like, a
was
vic
also a girl, and she's a victim of not having girlhood, basically, or not having that
or
system
not
of
allowing
support.
yeah,
Yes.
not allowing herself to kind of lean into that space, to escape
Mhm.
really, right?
Yeah.
Like, she was maybe for whatever reason, she wasn't allowed to escape or she wasn't allowing herself to escape because of
Yeah.
societal pressures or whatever other things that kind of impeded her from doing that.
God,
Yeah.
I got a little emotional. Just kidding, I'm like, "Calm down. I'm gonna cry."
Yeah. No, and I think that's what,
Kidding.
like, these movies that sort of use girlhood or, like, where like I said, like escapism and or using girlhood as a form of escapism or just really like showcasing girlhood. Like I think what I appreciated from them is that like it made you feel like good about being a girl, right? Because as I was talking about, we're in this like liminal state, this intermediary place, and it can be, like, hard going through those years, right? Like, you're going through
Mhm,
hormone changes, you're like, things are changing, you're trying to figure it out, your friends are changing too, things that were, like, you knew when you were younger, like, you get exposed to more information and you kinda, like, so they could also feel it could be a period where you're really feeling out of control and impotent, right? So, like, you
mhm,
talking about like, these movies that showed you that, like, you have agency, you're able to kinda claim your girlhood and, like, your person, right? And that you don't have to sort of, like, lose yourself to try to, like, fit in, for example. I think those were, like, huge messages for us receiving them from those type of films and just the way it was delivered where girlhood feels good. It's not something to be ashamed about. It's okay to take up space, right? So yeah, those are just some of the like, the cool things that I liked, as I was kinda going back to some of these films that we watched, like, growing up, like,
I
um
think sorry, what were you gonna say?
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I kinda
Oh,
hit a pause in my thought.
I was gonna say in other movies, I think that I was thinking about or that came across my desk that I didn't really consider at least these there was 2 that I did consider, Spirited Away, in a way I didn't really
Mm,
realize it was a girlhood film,
uh-huh.
but I'm like, it makes sense, like, looking at it again, I watched it literally, like, 2 days ago, and I'm like, "This is very girlhood," because literally, this is a little girl who's not she's moving with her parents, but then she goes into this fantasy world through, like, a portal of some sort, and she kind of has to again, it's a balance between childhood and adulthood, and she comes
Mhm,
out of it different in a way,
mhm,
and grown up per se, right? And I think
mhm.
that's one of the things about girlhood too, or a lot of the themes with girlhood movies, it's very much a transformation state, right? So
Yep,
at least socially, it seems that whatever is being portrayed there or whatever the feelings are for a lot of the girls that we have, it's socialized as more like an internal thing, right?
mhm.
And many of these movies are not a permanent thing. It's all temporal. So you're going through these portals, you're going to a place or a time in space, whatever, and you eventually come out of it and they
You're
usually
different.
come out of it different. So to me, it's kind of a little bit of like a double-edged sword because yes, it kind of gives into like the idea of like, yes, you should embrace girlhood, embrace the femininity, embrace your feminine
Mhm.
um energy, right? But at the same time, it's like, but also remember that there's like what it, I guess like an expiration date you can say for that. Like you are saying goodbye to that and you're coming out of it anew, and
Mhm.
it's time for you to grow up. And it gives me very much like Alice in Wonderland vibes, right? Like she's like, I
Ooh.
don't want to grow up, or like Peter Pan per se, but Wendy, right? She's like, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to become a woman. And it's like the fears of womanhood. And then they
Yeah.
go on this adventure and then they come back and it's like, oh, I'm ready to be a
It's not so
woman, you
bad.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so
It's
bad.
not so bad.
And so I was like, damn, that sucks too, because it's like when you think about it, and I think Sucker Punch was like another one that's a little bit more of a dark girlhood film,
Mhm.
because very much going into this world where you are dealing with trauma, but you go and escape through some type of fantasy world. Because obviously, Soccer Punch is like a very, I think at the time that it came out, a lot of people didn't like it, but it's also kind of become like one of those films that
Cult
it
classic
aged
now.
really
Yeah.
well. It's a cult
Yeah.
classic, and escapism there is used as a way to cope with trauma, very similar to, like, The Little Princess, and
Mhm.
they both have psychological armor where this girl goes into this fantasy world where she becomes a heroine, right? While we don't know what's really going on in the real world, but we can only assume what's going on by, like, the plot of the story, right? So I think
Yeah.
that one too, I think I was talking to my brother about it, and then he's like, "Oh, yeah, like, Sucker Punch," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, like, that's like an escapism in some sort." I'm like, "Oh my god, you're right, like, I didn't even
Wow, that's cool,
put
like,
that
how your brother
together."
picked it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they love that movie, like, growing up, that's the reason I watched Sucker Punch is because my brothers really like that film, so I was like, "Why are you guys watching this?" But then I'm like, "Oh, it makes sense why you guys like it."
Admittedly, I've actually never seen that movie, so now I have to, like, add it to my list of, like, on my watch list.
You should watch it, it's really good. I think another one that I thought of was Pan's Labyrinth, again, another, like, portal to womanhood vibes, very Alice in
Yeah,
Wonderland.
and also escapism because of all the shit that
Mhm.
was going on in her surroundings and, like, her
Yep.
mom being unwell, and I mean, don't they have what is it, like, was it Spain's Civil War or something in the backdrop of
Yes.
that movie, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So all of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
again,
actually
a
cool.
liminal state between childhood and adulthood. Um,
Yeah.
and then I was also thinking about, like, the more aesthetic things, like, leaning a little bit on the Barbie girlhood vibes, and
Mhm.
I think, for me, Marie Antoinette, I think, was one of the first things that came up to mind when it
Ooh.
came to, like, girlhood, and then
Mhm.
also the virgin suicides was another thing that came up in my head for, like, it's very stylized and, like, aesthetic, very dreamy, like a dreamlike version of, like, the
Wh
realities, you know what I mean?
which was interesting because it's juxtaposed with, like, the dark
Of
experience that
everything
these girls were
that are going
living,
through the
right?
films,
I
exactly,
mean,
and
one of my favorite quotes from it is when it's like what is it? Like, when the first girl I forgot her name is,
the sister's name, yeah.
and then, like, there's that quote where it's just like something about being like a 13-year-old, like, there's nothing more something about being I need to look it up, but it was just like
Let's look it up.
yeah, it's
Is
so
it
good.
Claire?
I think it's Claire, but,
Oh, it's Cecilia.
oh, yeah, Cecilia.
Yeah, it was Cecilia.
Oh, where, like, I think the doctor is like, "You're not even old enough to know how bad life gets," and she
Mhm.
goes, "Honestly, doctor, you've never been a 13-year-old girl." And I was like, she was so
She's
real
like,
for
"It's
that.
not clocking to you."
No, literally, like, we are under siege out here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why those movies are so good, because it's not only using escapism as a theme for the characters, but it also allows us as viewers to escape
Mhm.
with them because
Yeah,
of the stylization of the films in general. So I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh,
And
cute."
and speaking about, like, allowing the viewer to escape with you, and I think why some of these movies are so nostalgic is when we look at movies like Sleepover, Aquamarine, Princess Diaries, where the epitome of girlhood is at the center of these movies, and so, again, like, I mean, I just remember me watching these movies, it was like a form of escapism in itself, of
Mhm.
seeing, like whether it's like the makeover scenes or like the shopping and like being with your friends and like going through things that you go through as a teen, as a teenager, where there's like your first crush, first
All the Mary
kisses.
Kate and Ashley films.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like I was like, oh, these are so great. And it also kind of when you saw some of these films that are dealing into kind of like going into adulthood or kind of going that stage, because depending on what age you saw these, we were
Mhm.
sort of like on the lower end of that. We're like, "Oh, this is what's gonna happen to us when we hit that
So
age,"
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, or like this is how like we're gonna get to meet like cute boys and stuff, and like this is what our first kiss is gonna be like, and just like again, just like you escape into like, oh, like that's an alternate universe.
You that's so interesting because then it's, like, also, again, a reverse escapism for us because it's, like, not as kids, we're escaping into this ideal
Idealized
adulthood
version.
of
Yeah.
right? So it's crazy, it's, like, now us, it's, like, the nostalgia aspect of girlhood, right? Where versus back then, it's, like, "Oh, adulthood, we're escaping into adulthood because it's so hard
Yeah.
being a 13-year-old, I can't wait to grow up."
Yeah, and
Damn,
be like, cool,
we were
like
so screwed from the beginning.
13, 30, and what is it?
13 going on
13.
30.
Yeah, 13 and but
Yeah.
like the what is it? 30, flirty, and thriving, right? Like
Yeah.
we were fed this idea of what our, like, our 20s and our 30s were gonna be like, and now we're in that stage, and it's like, "Why can I afford rent? Why don't I have a whimsy apartment? And why don't I have a cool job as, like, a journalist or a writer and, like, just living soft life?" You know? "Why don't I have a cool wardrobe with the freaking bullshit ass salary that I make?"
Heck.
You know? Like, it's just like, the fact and this is where we hit the nostalgia too of like, oh, like wanting like kind of reverting back to those simpler times or those idealized versions of what adulthood was gonna look like or what our transition from girlhood into adulthood was
I'm like,
gonna
"Why
be
did I
like.
read all those books and I don't have telekinesis? What the fuck?" Like,
Exactly.
bitch. No, Matilda, love that also a pivotal film in my
Oh,
childhood,
yes.
like, ugh, I'm like, "I wanna read so many books so I can get superpowers," and it didn't work.
Right? You're
I
like,
was
"I'm
lied
still
to.
trying," first of all.
I'm still trying to just
Wait,
kidding.
I love that you said that because actually, like, fun fact, this past, weekend, I went to see a play, and I went to see Matilda. I went with my
Oh,
mom, and this was, like, this is my mom one of the kids that she takes care of, she's now, like, in I think she's still in middle school. I think she's, like, an 8th grader, and she's a girl of the arts, and like, a few years back, we went to see her in Wonka, and, like, her sister does it too,
oh,
and so this time around my sister's usually the one that goes with her, but this time around, my mom's like, "Oh, do you wanna go with me?" So we went last Saturday, and she was performing, and they did, like, the whole, like, Matilda play, and it was so cute, and I was just like, "Oh, like, these kids are so talented, and they're just having so much fun," and I was just thinking like, "Wow, like, it's so cool when schools invest in, like, these type of programs
mhm,
of for the children, because especially, like, you can get really involved in that, and it was just so fun to see, and I was just like and then I just had the nostalgia of, like, watching the movie and then, like, how the play compares to it, and I was just like,
yeah.
"Aw."
That was
It
also
was
one of those
good.
films that I played over and over and over
Yes,
again.
hashtag formative,
And
and I
that's where my obsession with chocolate cake and chocolate started.
no, like, seriously, and you know what was cool too about the play? That they kinda gender bent, so, for
Mm.
example, the dad was played by a girl, and Mrs. Trunchbull was a guy that played her. And it was so good, it was so good, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." I was
Oh my
just like,
god,
"I wish
friend,
we had them."
should we go into the arts and do a play as a little bit of activity? Should we go into acting?
I don't think I'd be good at acting, I would love to just go watch more plays because it was so much fun.
Girl, you need to bitch up and act. Just kidding.
No, no,
You're
I
like,
don't think I do I mean, I guess improv would kinda be fun to do, but, like, doing, like,
yeah.
acting instead
I
of
don't
I
think
don't think
I
I
mean, okay,
have
not
the
like a
wherewithal
full-on
for
play
that.
because that's a lot of responsibility and
Yes,
time.
and
More
that's what
so
I'm
like a
saying,
little
like
acting class, a little improv moment, sure. A
that's why I
little
said, like
wine and act.
I think I'd be more into, like, an improv thing rather than an acting class just because, like, I think I don't have the wherewithal to do, like, a whole acting thing. Like, I think improv would be more funny
Hmm,
and more my
true,
speed.
true.
Yeah.
You do have great humor.
Yeah, so that's I was like, for me, like, I think I would enjoy that over an acting class, but, I mean, hey, I guess
Right.
don't knock it till you try it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Matilda was a good one, and she used reading as a form of escapism,
Mhm.
and yeah, like you
Yeah,
said,
I
it
was
gave
like,
her
"Wow, so this is where I got like, this is me." I was like, I grew up watching Belle was my favorite Disney princess,
mhm.
and I'm like, I that's why I read so much because my mom's like, "If you wanna be like Belle, you need to start reading because she's really smart, right?"
I
And
love
I'm
how
like, "You're
your mom
right."
was able to, like, flip that into, like,
Yeah,
better
"You need to
reading.
start reading and studying and being good at school," and I was like, "You're right." I wanna be like Princess Belle, so I have to be really, really intelligent. And then
Yeah.
obviously there was like Matilda. I She was very intelligent for her age. So I was like,
Mhm.
I want to be very intelligent for my age.
You're
I
like,
want to be like her.
I wanna be the smartest kid in the room."
Yeah,
Yeah.
my little competition ass. I think funny enough too, like I was because I went to Barnes and Nobles because I really want to get the Jane Eyre book because I can't find it. And I was like, wow, Jane Eyre was
Really?
also an escapism or like a character that escaped via her books also. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, yeah.
and that
Totally
makes sense
forgot
why
about
you
that."
leaned more into that.
Oh, you know what book I was just thinking about that I reminds me a lot about my childhood?
Which one?
The Junie B. Jones
Oh,
books.
hell yeah. That was escapism for me.
Yeah.
Like, I those were the books that I would rent out.
Yeah.
That one and the Treehouse ones. Do you remember the Treehouse
Yes,
one?
yes, yes,
Those are
yes.
fun too. Those are my favorite
I
ones
felt
to rent.
special reading the Junie B. Jones books because it's a certain level of reading, right? And so I was the only one that was allowed to go in that section of the library because they were considered
They're
like
like, I
higher
had their
level reading.
grade
And so
yeah.
my teacher was like, my librarian was like, "Here, you need to go in this section." I was like, "Why?" And they were like, "Just go here." And that's why I started
You're
reading
like,
Junie
"This
B.
is
Jones.
more suited for this is more up
Yeah,
your speed,
I
ma'am."
think it was my second or third grader teacher that recommended me to start reading those books, and then I just started going through every single
And
Junie
they
B.
have
Jones book.
so many, so you just, like,
Yeah.
consume all yeah, it's an every time you just go check out a new one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember those.
I think
Those
I
are
when
good.
I was looking for novels that I had read in the past, you know, I was telling you I was going through, just trying to see if I could find the books that I
Yeah.
didn't have, and I know they no longer sell at Barnes or whatever. I think Junie B. Jones is one of the books that I was looking at, and I was trying to remember which ones I was, like, obsessed with, and I'm like, "I need to look at the covers so I know which ones
Like,
they
it's the
were."
color scheme, yeah.
Yeah, but
But I don't
this
know
week, I haven't had a chance to go through it, so I'm like, "I need to
yeah.
go through these books," and I'm like, I do want kinda have, like, my nephew read some of these because 'cause I'm like, I think
Oh, that'd
it
be
would be so
fun.
good for him to, like, read these books eventually, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So it was
I think
Junie B.
the w
Jones.
the title that's coming to my head right now, like, immediately was, like, Junie B. Jones Smells Something Fishy. I don't know why that's the first one that came into my mind. And
You
then,
I think the one
what
that I
else?
remember the most is the fruitcake one. I think that's the one I
Uh,
remember that the one
did
the
you
most.
did you ever watch the movie? They made, like, a live action of it. I have yet to watch it.
No,
I
I
remember I wanted
didn't.
to watch it because I was like,
I
"Oh,
did.
this
I
could
was
be
so
healing."
excited when I found out
Yeah,
about it, and I never watched it. So maybe that should be another thing we should add on the list of
of our watch
watching.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
yeah.
fun. I would enjoy that.
Mm. Well, is there
Fun
anything else
times.
that, like, you think of when you think of, like, your girlhood and something that really, I guess, influenced or you look back at and, like, nostalgic?
Yeah, I think, looking at movies, like, we are talking about movies, there was, like, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, like,
Mhm.
Lola was, like, the epitome of also, like, escaping in girlhood and, like,
You know what? You
all
are
her
very Lola
fantasies
coded.
and I was like and all her, like, fantasies and stuff and how she would try out
Yeah.
different personalities and, like, her outfits and stuff, and I was just like, "Oh, so good." I was looking at Freaky Friday, right?
Mhm.
And how, like and even just recently, I rewatched Freakier Friday. I don't know if you've watched that one
I
yet.
haven't, no.
It's good, it's good. It's on Disney Plus. I would recommend it
I
because
don't have Disney Plus.
oh, sorry. Well, it's
Someone
good.
has. Just kidding. Or
I
a
saw
budget. No, just kidding.
I know I am bumming off my brother's for and he has it because of Manny.
No, she's not.
So
She's kidding. She's not bumming off of anything, Disney. If you're listening, she's kidding. She has an account.
yeah. Well, it's technically well, anyways, what was I gonna say? So that one got me to thinking of how it was, like, kinda cool how that film bridged generations, right? Like, her mom and her
Mhm,
and, like, kind of flipping them out, and it kinda was one of those things where it's, like, realizing that, like, girlhood doesn't disappear, if you will, it just
yeah,
changes as you grow up, and I think that's what we're experiencing now that we're, like, in our, like, adulthood, shall I
mhm,
say, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of this nostalgia, and obviously, like we talked about how girlhood has been commercialized, right? You have all these trends like girl dinner, girl this, and like,
hot
and
girl walks.
hot girl walks, and really just like making our
Mhm,
lives whimsier by like putting girl into it and kind of just remembering, like, you know what? Like, don't like give yourself some grace. Like, you're just a girl, like trying to navigate the stresses of life and being an adult
mhm,
and like getting your shit together and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I think in a way it's also a way of, like, reclaiming femininity in a way that, again, makes sense to you and what you wanna subscribe to and such, so yeah.
mhm. Well,
In,
yeah,
like,
because
your own
even
terms.
that's why I was, I think it kinda calls back to what we were saying earlier about how nuanced girlhood is in the definition of it, because even then like, when does girlhood end, right? Like, we really define when it ends? Is it once we turn 18, once we
No,
become
that's what
women? Like, once we get our
yeah,
periods? Is, like, when does that whole state of being a girl end, right? And it's like you
yeah,
said, it really doesn't, like, there's still and that's why the whole idea of, like, healing your inner child, it comes to play as
yes,
well because
yeah,
a bunch of us live in that I guess it's a protective mode or a defense
yeah,
mode,
yeah,
right?
it's like a
Where it's
coping mechanism.
exactly. And obviously, guys go through it too, but I think boyhood and girlhood are socialized very different and very
Yeah,
opposite. Like when I was saying girlhood is more of an internal thing and more of like an emotional thing,
mhm,
and it's very temporary
mhm,
versus I think when you think of boyhood and movies that represent boyhood, it's very much like an external and permanent expansion of what's going
the
on in
self,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's very more so pushing guys into this idea of like playtime and adventure. And it's not something that you have to grow out of. It's something that you can still carry into adulthood. And you see this
mhm,
very much in like The Sandlot, baseball, sports, any
yeah,
sports film it's like you can play this as a kid and you can play it as an adult. You just
yeah,
grow up with it, not
yeah,
you leave it behind. That's how I see some of the girlhood films. It's like the things that you enjoyed as a girl, you
you
kind of
leave
have to
them
grow out
behind.
of it. Yeah. Versus
Yeah,
guys, it's like, no, you guys can grow with it. You have this adventure to look
you can
back on.
have
The Goonies, right? Like
yeah.
you have this adventure that you can back at with your boys. Remember that one
And
time,
it's
right?
and it's like a rite of passage for them too.
Yes, exactly. And I was just like, damn.
Well, I think that's why, like, this whole reclaiming of girlhood for us now, I appreciate because it's giving, again, resistance where it's like
Mhm,
we are using this, like you said earlier, as like because it's a shared identity, it helps build community, right? And it
mhm.
also kind of allows us or sort of we use it as a way to kind of like justify and allows us to take care of ourselves and like bask in self-care, whereas I think traditionally when we think about being a woman and, we've talked about, like, this whole idea of being, like, a girl boss and this and that, like, the responsibilities that come in your adulthood with being a woman and, like you said, leaving things behind and being serious and
Mhm.
whatever, and so that kinda, again, offers a vehicle for us to kind of not feel guilty about those things anymore,
Yeah.
when traditionally society is kinda like, "You have to leave those things behind, you're a woman now, you can't be, like, fickle or just, like, thinking about those trivial things like shopping and whatever other things that we love doing when we were little girls."
Yeah, I think that's definitely, like, thinking about this whole, topic in general and looking back at a lot of the films we watched growing up, I was just like,
Mhm.
"Damn," like, I think now as an adult, I would give the I wish I remembered her name from The Little Princess, but basically the mistress of the house or the governess of the house,
Yeah.
like, I give her a lot of grace because, like you said, right, like, she was a girl at some point, and she had to leave that girlhood behind, and that was, like, a big moment of the movie. It's like, you guys are girls in this school that have to grow up, and you can't go back into fantasy. It's not really, life. This is what's going on. We're in the middle of a war, and shit's happening, and it's like, damn, you give her a lot of grace too, because at the same time, it's like she's just an adult living in an adult world, having to raise girls to face
Yeah.
the realities of this shitty ass world, and it's like Damn, right. I mean,
Like,
I
I
guess
think in
even
her mind, she was trying to prepare them for the real world, and that's why she was,
mhm.
like this whole idea of, like, wanting them to kind of get out of that mentality and to be, I guess, more it's, like, be more real about what to
Yeah,
expect
it's like
in
the
the real
world has
world and
handed me a lot of shit, so I need you guys to be realistic about the shit that's about to be handed to you guys. Versus her
Right.
sister who also kinda lived in she was adulthood, but she also kinda lived in this, like, wanting to also be like the girlhood, being in love and whatnot, and it's
Yeah,
like the juxtaposition of both of the sisters that are adults handling
and just kind of and
teenage
approaching
girls.
it yeah,
Yeah.
and their approach was completely different, yeah.
Mhm. And then you have, like, Miss Honey and Trunchbull, and I was thinking about it, I was like, "Wow, the Trunchbull was just a sister to a brother," and I'm like, "I really wonder what that relationship was like." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and, like,
For
why
all we know,
she
he was the bad guy, no, just kidding.
no, I mean, no, because her being a girl and growing up as a girl, it's like, what did she have to go through as a girl versus her brother? You know what I mean? So I
Well,
was
I
just
feel like
literally
she was
thinking about
always
that. And I
I
was
feel
like,
like
"Damn."
here's my hypothesis. I feel like because she had a brother, like, she was always kinda measured against him, and this is why she's so masculine and, like,
Mhm.
leans with that, because that's the way she had to prove herself per se to either get, like, her parents' affection or this and that, like, it was giving like the brother was the favorite,
Yeah.
and I think because she's, like, was neglected in that way, that's why she had this resentment towards him, and, like, looking at her life versus his life, that's why she was like, "You know what? Off with you." No, I'm kidding.
And then also her treatment of Miss Honey, who thematically is the feminine, more feminine,
Yeah,
nicer, kinder version of potentially what she could have been, right? So it's
and
polar
she had to
opposite.
reject to get, like, validation from her parents, but she never got that in the first place. Like, she's like, "I couldn't be that, like, feminine, or I couldn't be that sweet and stuff because no
I
one
didn't grow up with this
with that."
love that my
Mhm.
parents gave me. So, and
Yeah,
now that both her parents are gone, it's like, sorry, honey, like this is the life that we have to live as adults. So then
yeah,
also Miss Honey is kind of like that rejection of I guess her girlhood is also the rejection. Her escapism is her hut, right? Like that cottage that she has,
yeah,
and not living with Trenchbull in the big mansion or the big house. It's like her
right.
little cottage is her escapism.
And she was like, "I don't care that this is, like, small and, like, whatever, like, this is mine, this is my
Yeah.
space," and, like, she claimed that for herself because otherwise she'd have to be living under her thumb.
Mhm. And that's why I wanted a cottage. Just kidding. That's why I've always wanted a cottage
That's
to
what I'm
drink my
saying,
tea.
like, these I exactly, that's what I'm saying, like, we grew up with this idea. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
it's
telling
so
you,
interesting.
damn. So
That
yeah,
is
now
just,
that I'm
like,
seeing
giving a
these movies,
completely, like,
I'm gonna
character analysis
yeah.
on Trunchbull.
We need to watch all the adults now. Like before we just focus on the kids because we were kids. And I'm like, now as an adult, like how do we see these adults? Do we give them more grace, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like it's hard out here. It's hard being an
yeah.
adult.
Yeah, it's also interesting because like, now well, I mean, I feel like you and I have talked about this because our parents were young when
Mhm.
they had us, where it's like, "Oh, I'm like my mom's age," or like when my mom was my age, she had, like, all 3 kids, holding a house down,
Mhm.
meanwhile, like, I am just a
A
girl,
child. I just
and
entered adulthood at 32. I'm barely an
exact
adult.
exactly, and you're asking me to have kids? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
I'm like,
interesting.
damn. And I guess the question here would be, how do we now knowing, I guess, how girlhood well, I guess what is the modern take now of girlhood? Like now I'm trying to think of like the modern films of how girlhood is portrayed versus back then, right? Because I mean,
Like,
Barbie
I'm
is a
curious.
pretty recent girlhood film, but it's also based on nostalgia. And
Yeah, there's that callback.
it's still kind of going on the whole childhood versus adulthood thing, right? So I guess in that aspect,
I
it's like,
see.
yes, keep your childhood and there's nothing wrong with keeping that idea of girlhood, but it's also still playing on the idea of transition, right? So I'm like, is
Right.
there any films now that are not doing that and very much still keeping you within or it's not a temporary thing, it's a permanent thing, right? Like, I don't know if I can think of any movies that I've
Well,
seen
that's
recently.
well, as I was doing this exercise and was sort of looking and just thinking like, wow, we're so lucky to have all these movies that were so formative and helped shaped our own perceptions of girlhood or our identity within that space.
Mhm.
And I was just like, what do these generations have that is comparable or that, like, also offers them that opportunity to escape. Like, I
Yeah.
know there's books, I know there's a lot of things in literature that a lot of
A lot of
folks.
fantasy books, but even
Yes.
now, fantasy books, I think even smut in
Do
general
you
for adults are like a thing, right?
do you think, like, anime could also be, like, a form of
Oh,
escapism
for
for folks?
sure.
But and even for
Well, I
our
mean, Sailor
generation, right?
Moon, like, for me, Sailor Moon was like a form of
Yeah,
escapism, and even Sailor Moon and the theme was escapism for her because she was like this regular dorky, clumsy girl who would turn into a heroine, right, and save
yeah.
the world, so
I
there's
feel like
that.
all I can think of is, like, those Netflix movies, like, the summer or those
This
shows,
is
like,
the
The
summer I
Summer
turned pretty.
Turned Pretty, the photo booth, the kissing booth, um
To All the Boys I Loved.
yeah, like, those are the only things that I could compare to that, and I remember because I remember watching those films and well, I never really watched The Summer I Turned Pretty, but I remember watching, like, the Kissing Booth trilogy and then the To All the Boys I Have Loved, like, those, and there were moments where I was like, "Wow, like, I'm totally, like, aged out of this." Like, in this like, there was things that were nostalgic, like the idea of, like, high school and what high school is like and your crush and
Yeah.
this and that and kinda, like, your love being reciprocated or whatever, and then I was just like, I just kinda there was moments where I just felt like, "Oh my god, I'm so old." Not so old, but it just felt like this wasn't as relatable, that's what I wanna say,
Mhm.
like, it wasn't as relatable to me, and
Yeah.
then that's when I thought, "Oh, it's probably because I'm pushing 30 watching these things. I am not in my late teens, early 20s, and maybe that's why these movies were hitting different,
Yeah.
or I
Well, I
don't
think
know."
yeah, I mean, I think those shows hit different. I think they work more as a nostalgic aspect for us
Mhm.
because it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I remember when I had a crush. I
Yeah.
remember when
I
I
remember
had a
being
crush
in
on all
high
these boys."
school.
Yeah, being in
Yes.
high school, the drama. So I think in that
Mhm.
way, it's nostalgic for adults. I could see it being a part of girlhood for girls, but at the same time, it's like a lot of these what's it called? Like, themes and tropes, for instance, I can see how I wouldn't want my teenage daughter to fall into the tropes for, like, the kissing booth, for instance. I could see how it could be problematic in some way, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
some things that I'd be like, "Hey," have a conversation with my daughter and be like, "This isn't, like, the most healthy relationship per se," or, like, these type
Right.
of reactions don't necessarily mean what this movie is indicating, but I could
Yeah.
see again it being again, but we could say the same thing about our films, right? Like the films that we grew up watching as
Yeah.
well. So
Or even our
definitely.
novela per
Then
se,
those
you know?
novelas, yeah, that's a part of girlhood too, girl. La
The
Usurpadora,
escapism
RBD.
that I leaned into with our novelas, are you kidding? Yeah, like, yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
your dueña. What? I'm just kidding. Yeah, what's her
Ruby,
phrase? Yeah. What is it? Oh, fuck,
esa
what
hembra es mala.
no, I
Él
was
está
thinking about
that was very
esta
Gloria Trevi
Soraya.
of me. So
Yeah. I was thinking about Soraya, and I was trying to figure out what one of her,
all
like,
the
iconic
Thalia
quotes.
all the Thalia novelas
Like,
for
the
me is like, girlhood for me, like, those were, like, some
mhm.
of the first novelas that I was introduced to as a kid, was all the Thalia novelas.
I mean, like, escape like, the way I escaped into these novellas to, like, think of myself as the protagonist, and then also in other times being the villain and what it would be like to be a villain in real life, and
Yeah.
to, like, lean into those intrusive thoughts. Yeah.
You're like,
I was like,
"Duh."
I was living 2 worlds.
And this is why we think we're the main character now. This
No,
is why we know.
absolutely, are you
This is why
kidding?
we
Yeah,
know we're the main character.
exactly, that's why we live the way we live.
I
But
recently stopped going back to the shows. I recently finished season 3 of XO Kitty, and XO
oh, what was
Kitty
that?
is like it's a spinoff, thank
Spin-off.
you, to All the Boys I Loved. It's her sister,
Mhm,
her little sister, and
mhm.
I was just like, "Oh, it's interesting because obviously To All the Boys I Loved is giving very much like, the way that they present the shows are very different, where her little sister's is based in Korea, so it's giving, like, K-drama, like, the way it's edited, the way it's
Oh.
filmed, it's giving very K-drama vibes, and I forget
Mhm.
how To All the Boys I Loved, I think it's more so giving very traditional girlhood,
Like
boy girl
American
fun,
version.
very westernized per se, yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, I like the way that it's presented and the way they differ the different girls' personalities. I think To All the Boys I Loved is definitely supposed to get very nostalgic versus K-drama, right? And then you have the other sister that they haven't done anything for, but I know a lot of people were like, oh, I think for EXO Kitty it was giving like frenemies to lovers, and then To All the Boys I Loved was also like um romance like fake romance to real romance, and so now they're like the sister could be like, I don't know, like I guess because she's older and she's technically in Scotland, it could be like the Scotland novellas, like fantasy romance
Uh,
book vibes, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, people are so smart." Like, I love the way people think and the way that they would portray certain things, but it also gives into, like, this is what we as girlies want to see because we
yeah.
all love our little romance novels, so why not give a romance novel vibe, right?
This is why DEI is so important, you guys. Have girls in the writers' room, have female writers, have female directors, have female creators, give them
Yeah.
a space in that.
And this is, I think, also why a lot of girlies liked, and I know there was some critiques again to the Wuthering Heights, but this is why Wuthering Heights was somewhat popular because of the
It was giving
aesthetic and
yeah.
the way it was stylized. It was still very dreamy in some way, even though it was a little darker, and gothic, but it
Well, I
was a
mean,
gothic
'cause
dream,
it's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I mean, they had to at least
But it's still
be
girlhood. Like, we
true
could
to
all
that, yeah.
relate, right? There was
It's
still
giving
some
gothic
form of
girlhood.
yeah. It's like now we just need Paramore back, right? Like all these people that come back in tour, it's like
Dude,
it's
the way
girlhood. Taylor Swift with her Eras tour, girlhood right there. I know a lot of girlies who grew up with Taylor Swift and singing her songs. So being able to be a part of that tour and sing all the songs they grew up with as
yeah,
teenagers to adulthoods now, it's like that's nostalgia again. The commercialization.
commercialization.
Sorry, my dog is barking, growling at something, and I don't know what it is. Now that
Is
care.
is there an alien amongst you?
You're a ghost. Just kidding. She scares me when she does that because she doesn't do that. So then when she does it, I'm like, "Hello?"
No, I know, that's why I saw, like, your eyes kinda like, I don't know what she's barking at,
And
like, this is serious.
my bedroom door is open, guys, so she's looking at my bedroom door. Sorry. Okay. The commercialization. 3rd time's the charm. If you guys keep seeing me repeat this, it's because my dog keeps barking because she's looking at something, and it's scaring me because she's looking at my room, and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. So I apologize for the constant cuts. But yeah, the commercialization of nostalgia and just girlhood and all the branding and even like the Y2K fashion, I think it has been like
Yeah.
a big thing also.
Yeah, and I think related to the commercialization of girlhood, it's interesting because, we've been talking about girlhood and like this idea of escapism via girlhood or vice versa, as it being
Mhm.
something like positive, something um that could even be transformative. And also, like we mentioned, it being a coping mechanism for us dealing with stress and just like the perils of dealing with like adulthood and regular day life.
Mhm.
But I think when you talk about it in that perspective, that is you kinda lean into more of, like, performative escapism, right? And, like, and like, even, like, the way girlhood has been packaged and branded to your point or marketed where it's just like,
Okay, sorry. Figured out what was happening.
"Is she okay? Does she need to go to the restroom?"
No, so I let her go, right? Because 'Cause I'm like, "Okay, let's if you're gonna be barking at something, go and figure out what it is," right?
So she can
So
yeah.
so she goes, and then I look at the room because she's, like, sniffing around, and then I hear a tapping, and I'm like, "The fuck?" Like, it's coming from my room, there's a tapping, and then I was like, "Oh, wait, my brother went out, and he's probably tapping at my window to let him in because he forgot his keys." So
Was it that?
that's why she was barking,
Ah, that's
because
hilarious.
my brother was tapping on the window and she heard it, but I couldn't hear it because I have my headphones on. So it wasn't until I let her go and was like, "Okay, go figure out what it was," that I heard the tapping and I was like, "What the
You're like,
fuck
"Go,
is that?"
Scooby, go."
Yeah, like so yeah, and my brother's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were recording." I'm like, I'm over here thinking there's a ghost in my room, bro." Like
Well, I just feel bad that he's been waiting outside all this time. You were just trying to shush Nala up.
so the mystery has been resolved, guys. There's someone
Yeah.
at the door.
Yeah, there's a mystery man at Lucy's
Yeah.
window. It's her brother.
But you were saying about the
Just like
negatives?
Not necessarily the negatives, but, like, when something like this gets commercialized and you
Mhm.
kind of package it more in, like, a performative way, right?
Yes.
Performative escapism or whatever, and then you have they sort of curate this, like, girlhood aesthetic, right? Like, that's what we've seen online a lot, whether it's influencers leaning into it or just, like we talked about, brands and stuff kinda catering to that. We
Mhm.
saw, like, all these, clothing brands that, with, like, ruffles and just, like, girlier kind of, sets and
Aesthetics, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Again, leaning into that, right? And this
Like ballet
idea
core.
yeah, the flats became a thing again, like
Mhm.
fun skirts, fun prints, and just a very, like, girly kind of and again, leaning into that sort of aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Which is fun to dabble into, but I do think there's, like, also this thing where it's, like, creating that aesthetic then kinda creates this idea of, like or creates the pathway towards, like, overconsumption and the consumption of this, right? Because like, you're buying all this clothes, you're, like, spending all this money to, like, all the skincare routines so that you can be, like, girly and, like, do the
Youthful,
self-care
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, like, to have this, like, picture perfect version of girlhood, right?
Mhm.
So, I thought it was interesting. I was kinda, like, reading about how, like, looking at escapism in more of the context of, like, when it gets commercialized, when it becomes sort of just, like, commodified in a capitalist society that it, like, causes you to overconsume and things like that, and I was like,
You know what I was just thinking about when you said
"Capitalism
that?
ruins everything."
Yes, but then it also kinda goes into the whole parasocial stuff that we've been talking about with
Mhm.
celebrities and, like, the nostalgia of celebrities, like the whole Justin Bieber situation,
Right.
um, like, even that in itself, because Justin Bieber is girlhood for many girls, right? Like, Bieber
Well,
fever, like
when you were talking about, like, Taylor Swift's,
Mhm.
band and listening to all the old school songs, like, I just thought about when we were at Coachella and all the people that went to Bieberchella and
Mhm.
really trying to, again, to kind of bask in that nostalgia of when they were, like, just
Yeah,
girls
like
listening to it, and
and
that
I
was, like,
think
the
that's why
fresh
the
the
that's
criticism?
the yes, the criticism of his performance, I think, was huge because a lot of people were expecting that nostalgic aspect of him dancing and performing and going back into that. I didn't get to
That
experience
version
Bieber
of him.
fever when he was
Yeah.
younger and doing all of that, so then, like,
Now that
Coachella
I
was
have
the
adult yeah,
opportunity for me as an adult to go see him do Justin Bieber, and that's the Justin
yeah,
Bieber they wanted. So I was like, "Damn, like, this is what happens when you commercialize girlhood and you commercialize nostalgia," right? It's like, now it's an
for consumption.
expectation because
Yeah,
I'm consuming and I want it so bad. But then it's like that's how you know we're so fucked in society because now we want to go back so bad in the past where it's safe, right?
yeah,
So it's like what we're dealing with right now in this world. And
yeah.
it's like even celebrities, I think even now the Michael Jackson movie coming out is also a form of nostalgia and
Mhm.
also like girlhood and even boyhood for many people, right? It's
Yeah, a lot of
a
their his
flash of the
fans.
past. Yeah. And it's and all the generations really are, like, consuming that.
Yeah, I do think when we talk about girlhood and the nostalgia of it all and sort of feeling like you're safe in girlhood, like, that was, like and I think that kinda goes hand in hand what you were saying.
Yeah.
And talking about artists and celebrities and the nostalgia of it all, I was thinking about concerts as a form of, like going to concerts as a form of, like, girlhood
Yeah.
escapism, especially when we talk about going to concerts now that we have adult money and that we can see these artists that we, like, loved
Grew up
growing up.
watching. Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
literally the drive for me to go see concerts. I didn't even think of
yeah.
that. So that's a good point. I'm like, the reason I would wanna go see these people is, like, when am I ever gonna have the opportunity to see them again potentially, you know?
Yeah, and it has been so fun to like, for example, we talked about Justin Bieber's performance last week, and, I did have my 2 cents on it, but, like, overall, it was really, like, fun and exciting to be able to experience that because like, when else am I gonna be able to see him on tour? Who knows if he's ever gonna go on tour again, you know?
Yeah.
When we went to Beyoncé's Renaissance tour in Houston, like, that was huge for me because 'cause I'd never been to a Beyoncé concert, and, yeah, I'm not necessarily part of the Beehive, but I definitely do, like her career, and I just think she's a great performer and stuff, so, like, to be able to experience that, like, that was also huge for me because I was just like, "When else am I gonna get to experience Beyoncé in this form?" You know?
Yeah.
And I know you guys did Cowboy Carter, which was, like, huge too because of what that album meant for, like, her whole discography and just, like,
Yeah. And that's
her,
why I was saying the Renaissance tour in general was a form of girlhood and a form of the commercialized version of it because I think Renaissance was definitely one of those concerts that really started that whole idea of like dressing. I mean, people have done it before, but I think it
yeah.
really pinnacled at that point where it's
I
like
think
you're
it
going to be dressed.
mobilized
Yeah.
people, and I think with social media too, because you were
Mhm.
able to see what people were wearing, and everybody was kinda getting exciting of like, "Oh, what are you gonna wear
We're
for the
going to dress
concert?"
up and go watch our
Yeah,
favorite
and
artists perform. And it's like all the girlies
and
are,
there being just, like, a dress code that, like, celebrities themselves or artists themselves are, like, not necessarily enforcing, but encouraging their fans, like, that's definitely new age territory because it's like,
yeah.
I feel like before that's never been really, like, a thing that
Like, it's
artists would lean
definitely
into.
something that has happened, but like you said, it's never really been, like, encouraged and like, "Oh, you guys
Yeah,
have to do it." But, yeah,
and again
definitely.
and leaning again into the capitalism of it all or the consumption of it all, right? Because
Yeah,
now, like, I could have just, like, spent no money, just, like, regular fit, whatever, but now I'm like, "I need to go buy a disco ball hat,
cowboy
cowboy
hat.
hat specifically. I need to
Yeah.
find sparkly," you know? It's like a whole thing. I mean,
Well,
even
yeah. Again, it's
Coachella
a
too,
part of the
right?
community, right? A part of the
Yeah, and that
community, a part of the
yeah, and
culture. Yeah,
everybody participating it made it and it was fun, like, you see all the different outfit inspos that people were sharing on TikTok, like, "Oh, this is what I'm wearing," or, "This is what I would wear if I would go," and then you're actually there, experience it in live form, and you kinda get to, like, kiki with all the other girls, they're like, "Oh my god, cute fit, and this and that," and, like,
mhm.
when we did the Monica and Brandy tour too, like, everybody was, like, showing out in their fits and stuff, and, yeah, I was like, "Oh, look at us, just here."
Yeah,
And,
we're all
like,
just girls
basking
trying
in
to have a good time watching our favorite
Yeah.
artists. Yeah.
No, exactly, and I was thinking about that, especially I was talking to my sister about, like, how we're gonna go see the Pussycat Dolls soon,
Yeah.
and, like, I was just like, yeah, like, you're getting to see these, like, artists and bands or, performance I mean, what is it? Like, girl groups, right?
Yeah.
That we saw when we were younger. I remember when my sister and I got to see Backstreet Boys, like, oh, one of the best concerts I've ever been to, and it was just, like, that like, the nostalgia, right? And when we watched, Hilary Duff recently too, I was just, like,
Mhm.
crying.
Yeah, and that's
When
why
I
it's
saw
like
T-Pain, like, I was
all
just
these
like
artists are, like, really capitalizing off of the nostalgic branding of these things, like, all these artists
yeah.
that we never thought we'd be able to see again in concert or, like, suddenly which good for them, that's great marketing, great time to come back,
I
like,
mean, to
Hilary
seize
Duff,
the opportunity.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
because there's
So
certainly a market for it. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And again, it's I think it's very telling of the time. And I think also it's just I think just the idea of even girlhood, but now the trend of being whimsy and whimsical and
Mhm.
is also like very telling of where we are in society because it's like yes, we need some form of outlet and being whimsy to whatever that is for you is
Yeah.
that form of outlet. And I think being whimsical and just whimsy is also part of that whole movement of girlhood and nostalgia and it kind of all it's like the trinity, right? You have girlhood, you have girlhood slash boyhood slash nostalgia, and then you have whimsy, and it's like a
It all converges
yeah,
to put us in this space or a specific headspace or to offer us those vehicles of, like, de-stressing
escapism.
or
Mhm,
escaping into, better times, simpler times, happier times, whatever it is for you.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and I think I had seen a TikTok about how someone's like, "You know what we need right now? We need the best summer ever. Like, everybody needs to go outside and have the best summer ever because
I love
that's the
that.
only way that we're gonna be able as a society to move forward and
Yeah,
get
to
out of this
move
shit
past
show that."
this. Yeah, to
Exactly, and I was like,
overcome.
"That is so true," and then it's so funny that I came across it today because 'cause I'm like, "Wow," like, us talking about, like, girlhood, boyhood, nostalgia, and just the whimsy of it all, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's what as a society." First of all, that's very telling where we are as a society where we need to go back to that, but also as a society to push forward and look
Mhm.
forward to new days and better days, it's like we need to
Yeah.
start pushing that nostalgia and that whimsy forward. Like, okay, like we need to stop going to the past. We need to start looking forward to the future. Very
Yeah.
similar to what where we were kids. Like, wow, like life is so great. in the future.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry. Summertime is the best time, especially
yeah.
as a kid. You had no school. You got to do that whatever the hell you wanted. You got to sleep in. You got to eat all the fun stuff. You got to look forward to hanging out with your peeps for
Mhm.
longer periods. For actually, you had no not that you didn't have a curfew, but you know how during like at least us like during the school week, it'd be like, okay, you can't go out and play with your people until after you finish your homework, and even then, you still have like
You have to get
limited
better
fun
because you're
time.
going to school tomorrow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and, like, summertime, all bets are off. You can't tell me nothing. I could go to bed at whatever time I want, not literally,
Mhm.
but, you know? And that reminds me when I was looking at, I was, like, thinking and looking at movies, like, where, like, Girlhood and whatever, Aquamarine, like, you're just, like, experiencing the best summer of your life with your besties, and it
Mhm.
just really kinda, like, hone in on, like, how much fun you have with your friends and what
Well,
a fun
yeah,
time
a
summertime
lot of the
is.
movies in our childhood definitely were even based in summer, right? I think
Yeah.
Goonies, Sandlot,
Yeah.
Aquamarine,
That's when the
um
best times happen, like, that's when the best things happen during the
yeah, so I think that
summertime.
we need to start inputting that now into our lives today and looking forward to something. So for now, it's the summer. So you guys make the best out of your summer. I know it's difficult because like we have work, we have responsibilities, we have bills to pay,
Yeah.
but also we need to start taking care of ourselves and our minds. And we just
Pour
need to
back
go
into
do
yourself.
fun things,
Uh-huh.
build community with everybody around you. And when everybody's having fun, endorphins are being built and happy people don't
And
good
we
fucking
have
shit up for other happy people.
no, it's true, and also I think it also allows you to recharge to, like, continue to resist and do what we can to freaking
Mhm,
take down those that need to be taken down. What was I gonna say? Speaking of having being outside and having the best summer ever, I've been thinking about summertime a lot lately because I was like, oh my God, May is upon us, and that means like summer is here.
mhm.
As you know, I like to kick off summer during Memorial Day weekend. For me, that's when summertime starts. So I was just kind of like, "Oh my God, like summer's around the corner. Like, what are we doing?" And I was just thinking, like, "Oh my God, what are we doing? Like you, me, Joy,
Yeah.
and all."
I'm like,
And
"We
then
need
I
to
was
start a
also
group
thinking,
chat."
yeah, and then also it's just, like, thinking about, like, "Oh, we need to be outside more." I'm like, "Oh, we gotta go to the beach. We gotta do this." And I was just like, "Oh, we need to just, like, plan things because like, you know, summer comes and goes so quickly." And I was thinking about my birthday, and I was like, "Oh, I really wanna do something for my birthday this year." And I was like, "Okay, then I need to start planning now." And then I just, like, kinda started, like, thinking, and I was just like, "Oh my god,
Spiraling.
how" and no, but, like, in a good way, like, in the way where I was like, I was excited, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so
Mhm,
excited. Hopefully, I do get to do this." And then I was just, like, thinking, like, "Oh, how exciting and how like, there's so much to look forward to." Even though
mhm.
we don't know what we're doing like, completely yet, but, like, I'm just like, the idea of just summer, being outside, being with your friends, and, like, doing stuff, and just, like, literally just, like, hanging out or just, like you said, being in community with people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to the summer. Again, you guys go out, get some sunlight, get some vitamin D, talk to
Mhm.
people, have fun, and just
Touch grass.
yeah, let the stress off your
Wait.
shoulders. I hope you guys have a great summer. There's a lot of great movies coming out. Go watch a movie with friends. Go
Mhm.
to the beach. Go have
Go do
the time of
stuff.
your
Go get your
lives.
tans on.
Yeah.
Go find fun community activities to do or make your own, plan your own. And if you don't have friends to go with it or your friends are too busy, do it your goddamn self.
Uh-huh.
And then
Go
when
on
they
by
see you
yourself.
outside, they're gonna be like, "I wanna be outside with you," and then
Yeah.
they'll
That's
follow,
how it
so
starts, guys. It always
yeah.
starts with one
It
person doing something super fun that it motivates other people to go wanna do something
yeah.
super fun.
Hashtag
So,
the art of FOMO.
yeah.
Just
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I hope that you
yeah.
guys found it whimsy and fun and that you guys can relate to some of these things and even look back at
Yeah.
some of the movies that you guys grew up watching and kinda,
Or ev
maybe comment
or
down
ev
below what was your favorite childhood movie that you grew up with that gave girlhood or boyhood?
yeah, and just, like, thinking about it from, like, how you used it to escape or how it kinda was a vehicle for escapism. But yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week.
Okay,
So
bye.
remember to bitch up and be
Good job.
whimsy.
Bye.
Bye.